Muscle growth simplified. Now we're pretty lucky these days, right? We got information at our fingertips, but that also means there's a lot of rubbish to sift through. Right, I can remember being a naturally skinny guy, desperate to pack on size and muscle and trying to find information online, and all I found was a lot of complex, hard to understand information. A lot of it contradicted each other, so I didn't really know where to start. It wasn't until I started my medical training within the military that I started really getting a grip of the human body, how it worked, and what I could do to start that muscle building process and change my physique. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact simplified process of packing on muscle and packing on size, okay? Because it can be simplified just so it's easy to understand. Now, the process as a whole that we wanna pay attention to is protein synthesis, okay? Which is basically a process that occurs everywhere, organs and all. And specifically, we are focusing on muscle protein synthesis. Okay, muscle protein synthesis is when this process occurs specifically, as you might have guessed, in the muscle tissue. Think of your muscles like a bank balance, right? Proteins is the money. So proteins make your bank balance grow, or make your muscles grow. They're the building blocks. That's what your tissue is made up out of. So your muscle is made up of the proteins you receive, like your bank is made up of the money you receive. But another process is happening. Okay, the process of your missus deciding she wants to go on more holidays, or buying decorations for the house, right? We've just moved in, so I'm getting a lot of it right now. That's why it's a bit of a building site. That's the process, right? That's making your bank balance get smaller. That is muscle protein breakdown. The amount of muscle protein synthesis happening must be of greater value than the amount of muscle protein breakdown happening, okay? It's a balance. That's all we need to do. We need to make sure that MPS, or muscle protein synthesis, is of greater value than MPB, muscle protein breakdown. That is essential. So how can we make this happen? Firstly, adequate protein, right? We need to make sure we're getting good levels of protein in. Okay, they are the building blocks, obviously, so we need to make sure we're getting enough into our diet. Really important. Secondly, carbohydrates, right? Carbs. We need to be getting our good carbs in. Really, really important. Carbs is so we have the energy to actually build new tissue, and we need the insulin response to stimulate the cellular pathway, as well as that insulin response to make sure more blood's going to the muscle. All this stuff is gonna help muscle protein synthesis. We also need to stimulate that muscle, okay? We need to give it a reason to grow. We need to make sure we're putting adequate pressure on it so that it has no choice but to evolve, to build, to get stronger, to get bigger, and really trigger that growth. But we also need to make sure, as well as the training, that we're giving it proper recovery time, okay? Muscle grows when it's resting. You need to hit it hard, then you need to have rest. Rest is mega, mega important, and we don't want to do prolonged training either, because that cortisol spike will trigger more muscle protein breakdown. So really important to get the balance right of hitting the training hard and resting and recovering. I hope that will make sense. So very quick recap, your muscles are the bank. Protein is the money building up. Muscle protein breakdown occurs, which is your missus taking money out of the bank. So we need to make sure that we get the right balance. More protein's going in than is coming out, right? And more money's going into the bank than is coming out. You can make sure this happens by resting and recovering properly after you've stimulated proper growth in the gym, and making sure you are eating the correct amounts of protein and carbohydrates. I hope you found this useful. Now go build some size.